What if death wasn't the end? What if the past could rise again? What if, in the middle of an empty desert, a graveyard of forgotten bones suddenly began to move? A prophet stood in a valley of dry bones, lifeless, broken, scattered by time. They were beyond hope, beyond saving. But then a voice called out, "Can these bones live?" And in that moment, everything changed. The ground trembled, the bones rattled, the impossible became real. Because when God speaks, even death must obey. In a valley of death, something was about to come to life. This is how Ezekiel's vision begun. Israel had been conquered by the mighty Babylonian Empire. Their homeland was destroyed. Many were taken away, forced to live in a land that was not their own, under Babylonian rule. They felt lost, hopeless, and forgotten by God. But Ezekiel was a prophet during this dark time for the people. One day, Ezekiel had a vision so real and powerful, it was as if he had stepped into another world. He found himself standing in a wide, empty valley, scattered with dry, brittle bones. There were bones everywhere, stretching as far as he could see. It wasn't just a battlefield, it was an ancient graveyard, a place of complete death and hopelessness. As Ezekiel stood there, taking it all in, he heard the voice of God speaking to him. "Son, can these bones live again?" Ezekiel didn't know what to say. The sight before him was impossible. These bones had been dead for so long that there was nothing left of them but dust and brittle remains. But he also knew that God could do anything, so he answered carefully, "Lord, only you know." Then God told Ezekiel to do something strange. "Prophesy to these bones. Say to them, 'Dry bones, hear the word of the Lord. Come to life and know that he is Lord.'" So Ezekiel did as he was told. He spoke to the bones, declaring God's promise. The moment he spoke, the valley began to tremble. A deep rumbling filled the air, and suddenly the bones started moving. They clattered and shifted, coming together bone to bone-like pieces of a divine puzzle. Ezekiel watched as veins, muscles, and skin formed over the bones. And soon, the valley was no longer filled with dry bones, but with lifeless bodies. Then God spoke again. "Prophesy to them to breathe. Call upon the winds and say, 'This is what the Lord says. Come, breath, from the four winds and breathe into these bodies, that they may live.'" Ezekiel called out, and from the four corners of the earth, the wind rushed in. It swirled through the valley, filling the bodies, and one by one they came to life. They stood up, no longer dead, no longer hopeless. Before Ezekiel now stood an enormous army alive, strong and ready. Then God explained the vision. "These bones represent the people of Israel. They say, 'Our bones are dried up, our hope is gone, we are completely cut off. But I will bring them back to life. I will deliver them from Babylon, restore them to their land, and put my spirit within them. Then they will know that I am the Lord.'" Israel was like those dry bones, lifeless, forgotten, too broken to ever rise again. But God was telling them that their story wasn't over. He could bring life where there was only death and hope where there was only hopelessness. This was the vision of Ezekiel in the Valley of Dry Bones. Hip Hop Bible. Subscribe.